What's going on, guys? Welcome back to We Won Picks. My name is Jacob, aka the Freckled Salamander, aka the Sexy Salamander. Welcome back. We are here to give you a full card breakdown for UFC Vegas 74. But before we get started, as always, make sure you go to WeWonPicks.com. Become a premium member today. It's only $10 a month. That's right, $10 a month is all it's going to cost you, and you get so much information. It is unreal. If you're a premium member, make sure you let me know in the chat below and let the people know that the value is insane. My picks, Angel's picks, Arnold's pick, DraftKings Optimizer, line movement tracker. You got all sorts of good stuff in there, so become a premium member. Help me get to Brazil today. With that said, let's get right into the quick pick video for UFC Vegas 74. First up, we have Maxim Grishin versus Philipe Lins. And listen, I'm going to go Philipe Lins here. I don't love it. I mean, the breakdown of this fight is going to be this. Philipe Lins should be the more active fighter. He should have the volume. Maybe he mixes in some takedown attempts, but he should be the more active guy in what is probably going to be a decision fight. But Grishin does have that heavyweight power. I mean, he fights like an actual heavyweight. He's slow, methodical, will mix in a takedown or two, but he really wants to kind of stay on the feet and hit you with power. And Lins does get a little bit sloppy when he blitzes it. He looks fantastic at 205. He's been having success at 205. He's been looking good with the hands, mixing some takedowns, working in some grappling. But Grishin is a big dude. I think that if he comes in and thinks he's going to wrestle Grishin, it's not going to work. And if he gets a little bit too happy in those blitzes with his hands low and Grishin lands a big shot, he can absolutely knock out Philipe Lins in this fight. So I'm going to go Philipe Lins. I just feel like he is a little bit more active in this fight. Going to have the volume, going to have the takedown attempts, and when it comes to the judges at the end of the fight, if nobody's getting finished, I want the guy that I know is going to be throwing the volume, and that is absolutely going to be Philipe Lins in this fight. But, I mean, confidence level on this is like, go to WeWonPicks.com, become a premium member to see the confidence level. It is low. I don't love it. Let's move on to some more importante fights. Lacerda versus Damon Blackshear. And this is a very kind of polarizing fight. And honestly, there's a lot of people that are on Blackshear in this fight, and I get it. The guy's tough, he's well-rounded, he's skilled, he wants to be on the ground. I understand that he's a decent striker, he does some things on the feet, but he wants this fight on the ground. And against a guy like Lacerda, I just don't think that he's going to be on the ground where he wants to be. Blackshear wants to be on the ground, wants to be on top, wants to get on your back, and Lacerda is very well versed on the ground. The guy's got a tattoo that says black belt is in my blood, for God's sake, and I believe that Lacerda is the better striker. He's got that nice, tight Muay Thai stance, looking for big power shots. In his last fight, he had issues, right? He had issues kind of tracking down the movement of Cody Stamann, however you want to pronounce it. But Blackshear, I believe, is going to be a little bit more in his face, and I don't think that Blackshear can land the takedowns that he thinks he's probably going to get in this fight. And the thing that's a big red flag to me the most is the fight IQ of Blackshear in his last fight. I understand that was a very high-level fight, but in the third round, knowing he kind of needed a finish, having success with his hands, he shoots a takedown. They're like, what the hell is this guy doing to shoot a takedown? Then he gets taken down and is flat on his back. Lacerda, in his fight against Cody, down 2 rounds, he was going all in for it, tracking Cody down, throwing big shots, getting a takedown, looking for a finish, and he was in an advantageous position in the third round, and I think that's what separates in this fight. It's going to come down to who makes the mistake, who is the idiot, basically, in this fight, and both of them can be. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm going to take Lacerda here. I believe that he is better pretty much everywhere in this fight, and I know a lot of people like Blackshear in this fight, but I'm actually pretty confident in Lacerda. Let's move on. Jinh Frey versus Elise Reed. And I can't believe I'm about to say this. I can't stand Elise Reed. I cannot stand Elise Reed. Listen, I'll be honest with you. If I was a fighter, I would probably be Elise Reed. I would come in, cocky, throwing heat, and then I would kind of get bullied and pushed around. And that's exactly what Elise Reed does in her fight. She comes in, very confident, very cocky, throws heat. She's got good power, hurts girls. But then when somebody gets in her face, that's when she starts to fold. And I just don't see Jinh Frey at this point in her career getting in the face and bullying a girl like Elise Reed, who is good with her hands. I mean, she is a very good striker. And you saw Jinh Frey having issues with the power in her last fight versus Polyana Viana, who isn't, known as a big power striker. So I think Elise Reed Unfortunately for me, I'm going to pick her in this matchup. I actually think it's a pretty good matchup for her, but if this leaves the first round, if this gets out of the second round, we've seen Elise Reed fade and fade and fade, and she is all hammer, no nail. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm taking Elise Reed in this fight. Let's move on. Willie Cav versus Johnny Munoz Jr., and I know all about Johnny Munoz Jr. There's a few people on this card that were Lock of the Weeks, former Lock of the Weeks. They won as Lock of the Week. Johnny Munoz Jr. was an absolute abomination for Lock of the Week. He's gone down at maybe the most embarrassing Lock of the Week loss of all time, the 1-inch punch from Tony Gravely. So I know this guy inside and out. And yes, I am probably a little bit biased in my breakdown, but I don't know how he beats Willie Cat. I'm so pissed off about it because Willie Cat, whenever they were supposed to fight, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, whenever it was, I got Willie Cat at minus 140 odds, and I was like, holy shit, I cannot believe this guy's only minus 140. The fight got dropped. When it reopened, the odds are now minus 220 for Willie Cat, as they should be. He is a Muay Thai shoot-the-box guy. He's going to come forward, and Johnny Munoz Jr., as good as he is on the ground, and I believe Willie Cat can withstand the grappling abilities of Johnny Munoz Jr., Johnny Munoz Jr. does not like to get hit. He likes to keep the striking clean. He's not really sound defensively, not really fast in the pocket, not really fast out of the pocket. And if you get in his face, he does not like that, and he is chinny. And that's exactly what Willie Cat does in fights. He is just a march. Even if he gets knocked down, he's back up, he's back in your face, he's back in your face. I am Willie Cat all the way in this matchup. I love him against the former Lock of the Week, Johnny Munoz Jr. Let's move on to the next one. Andrei Arlovski versus Dontel Mays. And I don't know. This is going to be a sloppy heavyweight fight. Dontel Mays in his last fight looked like he wasn't even interested. Looked like he didn't even want to be there. Andrei Arlovski in his last fight gets taken down. That choke was, the second that choke went underneath the neck, he tapped, and almost in his eyes was like, what am I still doing here? He wasn't trying to fight the choke. He was like, both of these guys are like the biggest red flags in the world. Andrei Arlovski, 49 years old, however old he is. Dontel Mays doesn't have all the skills in the world and looked disinterested in his last fight. Flip a coin. That's the breakdown for this fight. If you want to get tactical with it, God bless you for it. But I'm going to take Dontel Mays because he's an Indiana guy. I'm an Indiana guy. He should. If you're not beating 49-year-old Andrei Arlovski, I don't know what you are doing. I assume he's going to come in, keep the distance, use some athleticism against the older Arlovski. But if Arlovski comes in, gets in the clinch, holds him, and bullies him just like Sakai did, that wouldn't surprise me as well. So flip a coin if you want to put some money on either side just to have some fun. I get it. I'm going Dontel Mays. Let's move on. Sexy Mexi versus Muin Gafurov. And I'm telling you right now, I'm a big Sexy Mexi guy. Again, former Lock of the Week winner versus Miles Johns. And the reason I picked him versus Miles Johns is because I knew that this kid is tough and could outwork Miles Johns, because Miles Johns is a wrestler that just kind of throws big overhand rights that I knew would not affect Sexy Mexi, and he would come through for me as Lock of the Week, and that's exactly what he did. But this dude, Muin, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right, double Sambo champion, is going to be big issues for Sexy Mexi, because you saw in his last fight against Willie Cat, had great success, drops Willie Cat in the first round, has good success in the first round, gets some takedowns. He's I think a Division II wrestler, so he's got some wrestling chops, but he's not like an overly dominant wrestler. Very good everywhere, and I'm talking about Sexy Mexi right now. Very good everywhere, but doesn't really excel at one thing. If there's something that he does excel at, it probably is in the wrestling, in the grappling department. But even in that fight, you saw he was tired, man. And I don't know if there was something else going on. Maybe there was a weird camp. He was wearing the mustache. We know, always fade the mustache for the live stream bets, but he was getting worn out, and that is a big red flag against a guy like Muin, who is gonna come in. He doesn't go all in on the takedowns, which I actually like. He's got some striking chops. He takes his time, but when he shoots takedowns, he gets takedowns and he controls people on the ground. And I think he is just going to wear down Sexy Mexi in this fight. Sexy Mexi's got to get respect early. Early. Otherwise, he's going to get walked down, taken down, and beat down in this fight. I could not believe, honestly, when Muin opened as a dog. I love Sexy Mexi, but I was like, holy shit, this guy's an underdog, and it's moving fast, so stay tuned. I'm going to go Muin in this fight. Let's move on. Zaleski versus Abu. I'm just going to call him Abu. I don't mean disrespect, but if Abubakar, it's a tough name to say, all right? Listen, I think, in my mind, that Abubakar is overrated. I mean, he's a decent wrestler. He's got the Nurmagomedov name. He can get takedowns, but he doesn't have a ton of control in my mind, the way I would like to see people keep control. And his takedowns aren't great. They're not super explosive. They're a little bit telegraphed this time. And when he is striking, he is a little bit flat-footed. I mean, there is nothing really to offer. He's got that kind of like that Khabib jab, that Nurmagomedov jab a little bit, but he's pretty flat-footed. And this dude, Zaleski, is no joke on the feet, and the way that he just pounds the front legs. And we'll see, because he does have this layoff, a 2-year layoff. If he comes back the same person as he was against Saint Denis in this fight, I mean, he's going to absolutely dominate. I actually thought because of the layoff, they were going to put Zaleski as a dog. Dos Santos, I think his full name is like Dos Santos. I actually thought he was going to be a dog because of the layoff, because of their Nurmagomedov name, and I was like, oh my God, this guy is going to be the lock of the week. There is no question about that. He should be able to withstand the takedowns, just absolutely beat the out of the front leg of Abu in this fight and dominate the striking. And this guy's got real power. I mean, Saint Denis is a pretty good grappler, a tough dude, and he was absolutely beating the balls off of that guy. I love Zaleski in this fight. We'll see if, in my mind, if Nurmagomedov's going to win this fight, I think he needs 10 plus minutes of control time, and I don't see it. Even if he gets a takedown, I think that Zaleski is right back to his feet and doing his thing on the feet. You know, if Nurmagomedov can get the takedowns, get the control, that's how he wins, but I don't think he can get those takedowns, and he's going to get punished on the feet. Let's move on. Guram versus Jamie Mullarkey, both former lock of the week. So I think Jamie Mullarkey was lock of the week a long time ago before we started tracking. Guram, I had him lock of the week versus Damir. One of the most high-level fights you will ever watch in the UFC. Guram versus Damir. And let me just say this right off the bat. I don't get these odds. I don't get these odds. Listen, I love Guram. He is a high-level dude. He trains with Chimaev. He's a super technical kickboxer. Has wrestling as well. Very good takedown defense. And I have no question in my mind that if Jamie comes in and is trying to wrestle Guram, he can stuff all those takedowns, right? And Guram is the much more technical fighter in this strike. I mean, there's no question about that as well. But to beat somebody that is more technical than you got to get a little bit wild, and you have to have the power advantage, and that person has to get hit. And there's 3 things that are happening in this fight. Guram gets hit. He absolutely gets hit. He's a very high-level striker, so he rolls with stuff really well. So even if you're hitting him clean, he kind of rolls it off, right? Number 2, Jamie has the power advantage over Guram. And I'm telling you right now, Guram is the more technical striker, but it's close. It is much closer than people think. And you would think at minus 300, minus 330, whatever it is right now, that he would be head and toes and shoulders and knees and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. You'd think he would be way above Jamie in this fight as far as skills and striking. I don't think so. Jamie, the most important thing here is Jamie in the pocket, throwing extended combinations, throws nice, tight shots with much more power than Guram. And Guram at times will get caught up in phone booth fights. He will throw extended combinations in the pocket. He will lead with a leg kick and then pop with the hands. Or he will pop with the hands, finish with the leg kick or finish with the high kick, something like that. And I believe that Jamie is going to be there, tough as shit, in the pocket and land 2 or 3 shots in this fight where everyone that has Guram in a parlay, in a money line bet, whatever it is going to be like, holy shit, we are in trouble. And I think that Jamie Mullarkey can get this done with this power. This is going to be an absolute dogfight in my mind. I think it's going to go down to a decision. It's going to be a judge's decision. I think it's going to be a split decision. And I think Jamie, with the power that he's able to inflict and the toughness that he has, is going to, I think he's going to win this fight, man. I do not understand the minus 300 for Guram. He should be the favorite. He's the more technical fighter, but the dude gets hit. Jamie throws an absolute heat, and he is a very talented striker. Maybe mixes in a takedown or 2. If he, feints those level changes, we'll see. Throw the overhand right. But surprise, I am picking my dude, Jamie Mullarkey, to win this fight. He doesn't look like me, by the way. I don't want to hear anyone in the comments, oh my God, look, he looks exactly like you. Doesn't look anything like me. Silva versus Souza, and this should be pretty cut and dry, but I'll tell you this right now. This Souza girl, Ketlen Souza, I like her. I like her a lot, man. She is a little fireball, a little cannonball. She has absolute power. And you know who she kind of reminds me of is it's like a younger version of Jessica Andrade. The way that she throws her strikes. Now, she doesn't have the wrestling and she doesn't have the grappling of Andrade, and she can't really bully people in those exchanges, in those like body lock exchanges like Andrade. And I think that's why she's going to lose this fight. But as far as like the way that she throws strikes, the way she chases girls, kind of hands a little bit lower, and the way she throws that overhand right, she's got average. I mean, she's got some big power, and she has 5-round experience as well. The issue in this fight is she can get taken down. She can get reversed when she's looking for takedowns, and she spends too much time in her guard. She is very happy to kind of play that guard game, even kind of stall out in the guard instead of working back to her feet. She will kind of like look to stall out, and the ref standing back up. And against a girl like Karine Silva, that's bad news. I mean, that is bad news because she knows how to stay safe in the striking, which is very important versus a girl like Souza, right? She's in and out. She's very sound defensively, but she wants to be on top of people. She wants to look for submissions, ground and pound, and get nasty. And I think she can get the fight to the ground and really dominate there. But I'm telling you right now, look out for Souza. She's one of those girls that could be boom, like almost like Amanda Lemos, just boom, 3 or 4 knockouts in a row, and all of a sudden she's fighting a top 5 person and looking good doing it. So I'm going Silva in this matchup. I think she dominates because of the ground discrepancies of Souza, but look for Souza in the future. Tim Elliott versus Victor, and I think this is pretty cut and dry because these guys are almost a little bit of mirror images to each other, both a little bit wild, unorthodox striking, but they want to get this fight to the ground and dominate in top positions. That's exactly what both of these guys want to do. And Tim Elliott is coming off that wild fight versus Tigre, where he looked absolutely fantastic, was just absolutely bullying Tigre across the octagon for 15 minutes, basically. And Victor is coming off that very weird fight versus Vinicius. I mean, that was he was doing some wild stuff. He was getting some takedowns, but Vinicius is a very easy guy to take down, and he was gassing hard in that fight. I know it was a wild pace. I know he was doing some wild stuff, but Tim Elliott's going to come in this fight. You guys know the backstory. If you don't know, he came out on Twitter, was acting wild, said his wife was cheating on him, the whole relationship with Kevin Kroom. He is going to come in with the vengeance. He was in my Twitter feed. I mentioned him. I said, I can't wait for him to win, to get on the mic. He was in my mention saying he's going to do some wild shit in this fight. He said he's going for the finish. It's not going to the judges. And his quote was, I'm going to do some wild shit. So I am Tim Elliott all the way. I think they're very similar fighters, but Tim Elliott is literally better everywhere in my mind. And I think he's going to get it done. If he does some wild shit and he gets caught, you know, that's kind of how he loses this fight, but he should be better everywhere than Victor in this fight. So give me Tim Elliott to get the job done and get him on that mic, man. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Let's move on. Miller versus Jared Gordon. And I kind of see this almost like the Tim Elliott Victor fight, in the fact that these guys are pretty similarly skilled, except Jim Miller, now 40 years old, and I believe in my mind, and I could be wrong, because Jim Miller is always going to have the power, right? Even in his last fight, you saw when he throws those hands, he still has the power in these fights. So him getting a knockout, even though against a guy like Jared Gordon, who isn't like a super chinny dude, if he gets a knocked out, I'm not going to be super overly surprised. But Jared Gordon was looking clean against Bobby Green. I was all in on Bobby Green. I was like, oh, what the hell is Jared Gordon gonna do against a guy like Bobby Green? Bobby Green is a very tough guy to hit with the way he fights, the Philly shell, the way he leans out, the hands low. And Jared Gordon was landing. I mean, he was landing some good shots. I mean, 2 or 3 minutes into that fight, I was like, uh-oh. Like, this is not a good situation for Bobby Green. He was landing some shots too, but those counter-striking and the precise striking against a guy so hard to hit in Bobby Green, I mean, Jim Miller is not that hard to hit, and Jared Gordon should be able to do his thing. I think it's a decision. Both these guys are extremely tough. It's probably going to be low volume at time, but I believe Jared Gordon can pick his spots, dance around, counter-striking. Jim's, I believe, is going to start showing his age in this fight. He's not going to have the speed on Jared Gordon, and Jared Gordon's going to be able to miss with that power of Jim Miller and be there with the precise counter shot. So I actually like Jared Gordon a lot in this fight. Jim Miller has the power advantage, but that's kind of all he has in my mind to this fight. I think Jared Gordon pulls this off, and this could be a Jim Miller retirement fight, but we'll see how he does. Let's move on. Alex Caceres versus Daniel Pineda. And I'll tell you right now, I guess I get the love for Alex Caceres. I mean, he's won a bunch of fights in a row. He had that one loss in there, if I'm remembering correctly. That Juliana Rosa knockout, that was his first knockout, I think, since 2010. So I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on the Alex Caceres train. I know that Pineda is a chinny dude. He looked fantastic in his last fight. I mean, he looked really, really good in his last fight, throwing very, very precise stuff with very, very good power. And the thing that I stressed the most in this fight is Alex Caceres is a grappler. I mean, he wants to get on people's back. That's where he wants to backpack people without very good takedowns. And you saw against Tucker Lutz, Daniel had no issues defending the takedowns against Tucker. And I understand that Tucker is not Alex Caceres. He's a flat-footed striker. He's an easy guy to hit. And Alex is very in and out with his striking, does some weird stuff inside the octagon. But I believe that Daniel can just beat up the front leg of Alex. I mean, the way that he was throwing those front leg kicks against Tucker, if he lands 3 or 4 of those against a guy like Alex Caceres, his movement is going to slow down so much. The shots are going to be even more telegraphed. And if you slow down the movement of Alex Caceres, now he is just a very, very average fighter in my mind. And I think that is the path to victory for Daniel. Come in. You don't really have to worry about the hand power of Alex Caceres. He might touch you up a little bit. He might blitz in with the lungy shots. But Daniel looked like he ate some good shots against Tucker. I think he comes in, blasts the front leg, jeopardizes the movement, and then starts laying on some really, really good power. And that's going to force Alex to kind of panic grapple. And then you'll have Daniel there with hopefully not pulling guillotines and getting out scrambled. I don't want to see any bullshit like that. But there could be a situation where he finds a shot on Alex on the way in, or he's able to out scramble him for a submission win, something like that. So I'll go Daniel Pineda. I understand the grappling prowess of Alex. I don't think he's going to get an advantageous position in this fight. I'm going Pineda in this fight. Let's move on. Main event time, Kai Kara-France versus Amir Albazi. And listen, I like Kai Kara-France. I'm a Kai Kara-France fan. I think I've probably picked him in like every single fight. He is a very, very good high-level striker. But the stuff I'm seeing this week, the stuff I'm reading this week about Kai Kara-France being a lock, and this guy's, oh my God, he's going to dominate. And leading up to it, he's the favorite now, but leading up to it for lock of the week, everyone's like, oh my God, Jacob, Salamander, you got to make him your lock. You got to hurry and make him your lock. You got to take him. He's a dog. And now he's the favorite, and I get it. He is the better striker in this matchup, but it is not. It is not as far as people believe it is in my mind. It's almost like the Guram, Jamie Mullarkey situation, but it's much closer than that, right? People think that Guram is way better than Jamie, and he is better, but it's close. Kai Kara-France, people believe he is the way better striker, and people are saying all week, he's going to defend the takedowns, and therefore he wins. I think that's the biggest argument people are making. I have no doubt that Kai Kara-France can defend the takedowns. He does get taken down at times, but he's pretty good takedown defense because he knows if I'm on my feet, I can have success and I can win these fights. The issue is, and this is going to probably sound a little bit stupid, but this is how I'm reading into fights. I look at fights a little bit different than most people. I'm telling you right now. I believe that Kai Kara-France believes that he is a way better striker than Albazi. I believe that Kai Kara-France thinks if I defend the takedowns, I'm going to absolutely dominate this fight. And I also believe that early on, Kai Kara-France is going to look like he is going to have some great success with this fight. I don't think that Albazi needs the takedowns to win this fight. Kai Kara-France is probably going to be winning this fight until he loses. You kind of saw that against Brandon Moreno. Once he started having success, he does get a little bit, aggressive with his striking. He starts over-striking a little bit, and he does get hit. Brandon Moreno was lighting up early with the jab. Boom, boom, boom. Albazi's got a really, really tight, nice jab. Boom, boom, boom. I believe that Kai Kara-France is going to get over-aggressive, almost have too much success in the striking. Albazi's kind of one of those different guys. When he hits you, he's got that different power. Even at 125, he has different power. So this is how I see the fight. Kai Kara-France can win this fight if he stays technical, if he treats it like almost like an Izzy fight. Just point, get out of danger, stay away from takedowns. That's how he wins this fight. But I think Kai Kara-France is a warrior, man. He wants to be in those fights. He wants to get finishes. He wants to be that guy. Don't blink. And I love it. And that's why we love Kai Kara-France. And I believe that he's going to have too much success too early. He's going to get too confident, and he is going to get dropped. He is going to get hurt, and he's either going to get submitted or knocked out in this fight. So I think listen, I love Kai Kara-France. He is the better striker. I just do not think that it's as much as everyone else thinks, and I don't think he's as good or better than Albazi as much as he thinks. I don't know if that sentence even made sense. I'm going Albazi in this fight. Obviously, if you can get some takedowns, that's the path to victory, but even on the feet, take your time, stay tight, stay technical, and the power shot will be there. Kai Kara-France does get hit, and he will leave himself exposed at times, and Albazi is going to be there with the big shot. The dude is built different in my mind. But that has been the full card quick pick video for UFC Vegas 74. Go to we1picks.com. Become a premium member today. Make sure you like the video if you don't mind. Subscribe if you are new. My name is Jacob, a.k.a. the Freckled Salamander. Lock of the Week video up on Wednesday. I am out. Peace.